Welcome along, fellow time travelers and strange historians. This time around, we're going to check out some of the treasures in Lauren Bacall's Dakota apartment. I'm going to tell you specifically what many of her treasured possessions are, including their value and what many of them sold for at auction. You're going to see some really cool snaps, some of which you may have never seen before. This is going to be a series, so in part one, we're going to focus on the foyer. It might not be the most exciting place in the world to start, but we gotta start somewhere. Before I begin, please like and share this episode and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. Now please join me around the campfire. As you may know, my former show about Lauren Bacall's apartment received numerous comments, and a recurring observation was that many viewers found Miss Bacall's space to be dirty and messy and cluttered. And so the main purpose of this show is to address this incorrect perception, while we all celebrate the unique charm of Lauren Bacall and her beautiful home. Now listen, I understand why so many people think her apartment may have been cluttered. Many people, maybe even you, have friends and relatives who live with a lot of cheap clutter. And so they, and maybe even you, are particularly sensitive to seeing that sort of thing in other people's homes. I know I am. And so it often happens when people encounter an abundance of items in somebody else's home or their workspace that it can be challenging to discern the significance of each particular item and to be able to hone in on specific things and to understand what they're looking at. It's just overwhelming to kind of take in everything at once. And so this show aims to emphasize that upon closer inspection, we could all better understand what the specific items are, or were, and we could begin to appreciate their stories. Doing this will provide us with a great insight into why Lauren Bacall decorated her home in such a manner, which I happen to like, by the way. I also think that a show like this can be of great value to you and other viewers because it helps people increase their powers of observation. So let's get rolling. As we all know, Lauren Bacall was a legendary Hollywood actress, and she passed away in 2014 at the age of 89. She lived at the legendary Dakota apartment building in New York City, which, as many of you know, I have produced many shows about and have written some books about, which I always forget to mention. And so for future reference, if you have a desperate desire to purchase a book about the Dakota, you might want to purchase one of mine, because I've been fascinated with the Dakota since I was a child in New York City. To get to her apartment, Betty had to walk across the entire Dakota courtyard and then enter the lobby on the northeast quadrant of the building. My friend Stephen Birmingham wrote the classic book Life at the Dakota, which, with the exception of my books, is the only other book you'll ever want or need about the Dakota. On page 106, he wrote the following, quote, "Lauren Bacall's fourth floor spread facing the park was priced at $53,350. Now there are only a handful of people still alive who know what she paid for sure, and they haven't told me. But let's just assume it was around $50,000 during the whole co-op conversion, which took place during 1960 and 1961. It was a complicated process. And so adjusted for inflation, that was the equivalent of about $500,000. So when people ask me why I say she paid the equivalent of $500,000 for her apartment, that's what I meant. And as we know, that turned out to be a great investment on behalf of her family, since the apartment sold for $21 million. But her estate was worth much more than that. But first, the family had to sell her stuff. By the way, the majority of her estate was distributed among her three children. You had Leslie Bogart, Stephen Humphrey Bogart, and Sam Robards. Furthermore, Betty allocated $250,000 individually for the college education of her youngest grandsons, who were the sons of Sam Robards. And so, in 2015, the highly anticipated auction took place, featuring items from her personal collection. The auction was held at Bonham's Auction House in New York City on March 31st, 2015, and April 1st, 2015. On both days, there was a morning session and an afternoon session. The collection included a wide range of items, spanning Bacall's career in film and her personal life. Some of the highlights of the auction included jewelry, furniture, artworks, and memorabilia. The auction encompassed a diverse array of items, including contemporary prints, modern and contemporary art, English and French 18th and 19th century furniture, English Majolica. Yeah, I know, Majolica. You probably say it differently. What can I tell you? English Majolica. I'll explain what that is later. Tribal art, jewelry, couture, Did I say that right? You happy with the way I said that? And luggage by Louis Vuitton and Goyard. Her interest in African art developed during the filming of The African Queen, which was in 1951, with her husband, the great Humphrey Bogart. Man, didn't we love that guy? Everyone loved him. In fact, notable items included her engagement ring from Humphrey Bogart, as well as various pieces of jewelry and clothing and accessories, which we will discuss in another show. Don't worry about that. It's going to be a lot of research. Give me a little time. I'll get to it. Unless you're listening to this in the future, at which point the show already exists, so just search my channel and you can watch it. And so Bonhams organized a preview show featuring 6 bronze maquettes, isn't that a fancy word, by Henry Moore, a favorite artist of Bacall. By the way, I'm going to go back and forth, sometimes calling her Lauren or Miss Bacall or Betty. You know who I'm talking about. Anyway, her admiration for Moore dates back to the 1950s in Los Angeles. And after finally meeting him at his studio in 1975, she described it as, quote, a high point of my life, the realization of a dream, end quote. And so you can imagine the event garnered significant attention and interest from fans of classic Hollywood and collectors of celebrity memorabilia. Check it out. The auction attracted more than 1,500 bidders from 34 countries. You know, everybody's eager to acquire pieces from the collection of this iconic Hollywood star. And star of Broadway, yeah? And literature, right? I mean, she was an author. I mean, this woman was incredible, fantastic. Everybody loved Lauren Bacall. And so belongings from her Manhattan apartment were successfully auctioned for 3.6 million smackaroos. In fact, many pieces exceeded triple their initial estimate during the auction. Now, I don't know how her family divvied that up, but I read that the proceeds from the auction went to benefit the Lauren Bacall collection at the Museum of the Moving Image in New York, as well as other charitable causes supported by Bacall during her lifetime. And so the auction not only celebrated her contributions to the entertainment industry, which were vast, but also allowed her legacy to live on through the items she cherished and collected throughout her remarkable life. And we're going to check some of them out. Unlike many, Betty did not enlist the services of a decorator. Instead, her home was a sort of repository of stories. I mean, consider your own living space at this moment. While you're listening to me, if you're at home, take a look around you. Look to your left, look to your right, look in front of you, look behind you. If guests were able to visit you right now, how many of the items surrounding you carry a personal story? Now, ideally, it would be quite a few, right? Stuff that family gave to you or friends gave to you or things that you picked up during your travels, right? To be able to pick up something and say, oh, yes, I got this here and there or somewhere else, or, oh, the artist is a friend of mine, right? Ideally, we would all love that kind of situation. Yet in reality, it's probably a lot fewer than we would all hope. Ideally, we all aspire to be surrounded by individuals and belongings that infuse our lives with joy and elicit smiles. That is what Lauren Bacall did. In fact, here is what Miss Bacall had to say in a Vogue interview in December of 1978. Quote, as anyone can see on entering my apartment, I am a collector of many things. For many years, pewter, plates, bowls, mugs, you name it, brass, snuff boxes, match strikers, faience animals, needlepoint animals, ivory animals, bronze animals, boxes, all are antiques. All have lived through a lot. All make me feel warm. The place is cluttered, but it is personal. And in each room, as you wander down the hall, there is something else. There are a lot of books, too, with one on Henry Moore in each room. Also pictures of my friends and my children, all important to me, and my dog. I am attached to it all. End quote. Isn't that beautiful? I love that. Lauren Bacall led an extraordinary life. Her life was filled with incredible stories and possessions. So let's talk about them, shall we? At this point, I just want to say that I hope you are enjoying the show so far. And before I continue, can you please just do me a favor and like and share the show, and do me a favor and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. And if you can encourage others to subscribe to my channel too, I'd really appreciate that as well. This photo shows the view from within Ms. Bacall's foyer. If you were standing where the photographer was, then the entry doors would be to your right, the library, with views of Central Park, would be to your left, the fireplace and the rest of the foyer would be behind you, and I'm going to show you that in a bit. And looking straight ahead is the hallway that leads south. The door on the right is a closet, and further down, you see those pocket doors? Those lead to the dining room. And if you were going to walk down this hallway a bit and turn left, you'd see the entry to the drawing room. By the way, I don't really use that word. I say living room. Maybe it's an American thing or a New York thing. Which word do you use? Drawing room, living room? I'll stick with living room. And if you continue walking to the end of the hallway, the bedrooms are on the far left, and the kitchen, or the entry to the kitchen, is on the far right. All right, let's get rolling. So starting on the far right, this is a late Victorian sponge-decorated blue and white glazed ceramic umbrella stand, circa 1900. It's fitted with 8 various umbrellas, including 4 with animal head form handles. It's 20.5 inches tall and 9.5 inches wide. It was estimated to be worth about $600 to $900. You want to know how much it sold for? 3,500 smackaroos. What do you think? Good deal? Bad deal? How much would you have paid for Lauren Bacall's umbrella stand? In fact, if anybody who purchased this item or any of Lauren Bacall's items wants to contact me and chat for a while, please feel free to do so. You know how to reach me. Also for sale were 6 wooden walking sticks, including one with a sterling silver cloud hands mask form grip. I think they were all made by Jim Lewis, and their lengths vary from 33 inches to 37 inches. The value of the lot was somewhere between $300 and $500. The lot sold for $2,125. Now, many of you might be wondering who in the world Jim Lewis is. Well, as of the time of this recording, the guy's still alive, and he crafts canes and sculpture pieces, and he uses basswood and poplar as his primary wood choices. His subjects typically revolve around animals, people, and religious themes. This is a Black Forest-style carved wood mirror. You have no idea how many times I had to practice saying mirror. You know how easy it is for me to say mirror? It was made in the 20th century. It's 36.5 inches high, 36 inches wide, and it was valued to be worth somewhere between $800 and $1,200. It's sold for $1,750. Now, some of you may be wondering what in the world Black Forest means, with the exception of cake. Well, it refers to a wood carving style that originated in the Black Forest region of Germany during the 1800s. And it's characterized by intricate detailing. Black Forest carvings often showcase realistic representations of animals and plants. This is, oh boy, we're going to have fun with this, a Jacobean. I know, Jacobean. I'm going to go with Jacobean. That's what people seem to like the best. So, Jacobean. A Jacobean walnut, an oak chest of, stay with me here, this is going to take a lot from me, drawers. Chest of drawers. I say drawers. Chest of drawers. I can't help it. Chest of drawers. I can't even pronounce this. Drawers. Am I saying that right? Let me try it. A Jacobean walnut and oak chest of drawers. Late 17th century. It's 33 3/4 inch high, 37.5 inches wide, and it's nearly 22 inches deep. It was valued to be worth somewhere between $1,500 and $2,500. All right, Jacobean. Let me just go ahead and tell you, that refers to different things depending on the context, but it often relates to the Jacobean era or style, which refers to the period in English history that coincides with the reign of King James I of England, which was, 1603 to 1625. Anyway, in the context of art and furniture, Jacobean style refers to the prevailing architectural and decorative style during that era. All right, let's move on. It's sold, by the way, for $5,625. So they thought, yeah, it's worth about $1,500, maybe $2,500. Somebody bought it for $5,625. It's a nice piece. I like it. What do you think about that monkey? Do you like monkeys? This is a continental painted plaster figure of a monkey, And you can't really see it in this picture, but next to it, I think, is a monkey form vase holder. 20th century. Each is modeled as seated, and the second is holding a blown glass vase. So it's like 15 inches high, 10 inches wide. And I don't know what they valued it at. Probably not much, I don't know. But it sold for $525. So how much would you have paid for this monkey? I'm dying to know. Please let me know in the comments below. And then there are those candlesticks. And these were part, by the way, of a lot of 3 pairs of late Victorian brass ejector candlesticks circa 1900. And the bases of one pair are inscribed the Diamond Prince. These I think are about 11 3/4 inches high, and the other set is 20 inches high. Anyway, the lot sold for $2,000. And on the other side of the chest of drawers is a Black Forest style carved oak hall chair. And it was made in the first half of the 1900s, 44 inches high, 21 inches in width, and 17 inches deep. It was estimated to be worth somewhere between $800 and $1,200. It sold for $3,000. So what do you think? Would you have paid $3,000 for that Black Forest style carved oak hall chair? I think I would, if I was rolling in dough. This is a Black Forest style carved wood roe deer head mount from the 20th century. It has genuine horns and glass eyes. It's 24 inches in height and 12 inches in width. It was estimated to be worth somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500. It sold for $1,125. So there, somebody got a pretty good deal. And by the way, the auction house even lifted up her rugs and sold those. Now these aren't average everyday rugs, don't you know? These are Bessarabian Kilim. I know, some people say kilim. I don't want to say kilim. People say kilim. I watched a video on YouTube, and a guy from Turkey, who probably knows how to pronounce the word, he said kilim. And then I watched some other videos, and like kilim, kalim. I don't know, what can I tell you? Bessarabian Kilim. Let's go with that. And so one of them was 5 feet 6 inches by 10 feet. And it was estimated to be worth between $400 and $600. And then she had another one that was made in 1926, which was 3.5 feet by 12 feet. That was estimated to be worth $800 to $1,200. And I'm not sure if I know how much they sold for. I don't think I know. But no, I wasn't able to find that information. If anybody's able to find that, please let me know. If you're wondering what in the world Bessarabian is, it's a historical and geographical region in Eastern Europe, located mainly in present-day Moldova, with portions extending into Ukraine and Romania. And so there's that. So okay, so that's where it's made. And so a Bessarabian kilim refers to a type of flat woven rug or carpet that originated in the Bessarabia region. And they are known for their distinctive designs of vibrant colors and use of geometric or floral patterns. All right, let's check out this bench. I love this bench, actually. This is an English provincial elm bench, probably 19th century. 18 inches high, over 9 feet in length, and 14 inches deep. Now, the reason I accentuated 9 feet is because it gives you an idea of how incredibly large this apartment is, right? Because you look at a photo and it really doesn't do it justice. And I don't know how many benches you have in your hallway at home, but what are the chances that in just one portion of your hallway, you could go shopping and say, you know what I need today? I need to go shopping. I need for my hallway a beautiful elm bench. If only I could find one. Ah, there's one that's 9 feet wide. Perfect. Exactly what I need. I know that'll fit. Well, in the Dakota Apartments, no problem. Get yourself a 9-foot long bench. Put it in your hallway. It's no problem. It was valued between $1,000 and $1,500, which surprises me, by the way. One of the reasons I like this bench is it reminds me of in John Lennon's house at Tittenhurst Park. He had this incredible long table where he used to sit with all the musicians that came when he was recording Imagine. And so you got the table, but you also have the benches. And so when I saw this, I'm like, oh, it kind of reminds me of one of those benches that John Lennon owned. Anyway, this sold for $3,000 $125. Probably a good deal. Whoever bought that, can you please contact me? Okay, this is a modern Mexican figure, and it was sold as part of a lot of 7 modern Mexican figures, which comprised of a West Mexican polychrome bear, a West Mexican seated man, a West Mexican seated deity, and 4 small pre-Columbian style masks and fragments. The lot was valued to be worth between $400 and $600, and it sold for $812.50. So some lucky person out there owns this modern Mexican figure, and perhaps even has it on a table in their hallway. This is an Italian Rococo carved and painted console table, possibly Sicilian, mid-1700s, with later rose gray marble top. 33 inches high, 49.5 inches wide, 25.5 inches deep. It was valued to be worth between $4,000 and $6,000. I gotta tell you guys, I was very shocked to find out that it sold for only $3,500. I think the reason why, to be perfectly honest with you, and people who buy and sell antiques will probably back me up here, this sort of thing is kind of a dime a dozen. I mean, you don't really need to buy this one. If you don't buy this one, it's not like there aren't a zillion others out there. And so that's probably why it only sold for $3,500. By the way, Rococo. It's an artistic and decorative style that emerged in the early 18th century, primarily in France, and reached its peak popularity during the 18th century. The Rococo style is characterized by ornate, elegant, and playful designs, featuring asymmetry, curves, and intricate ornamentation. Also, there was a Louis XV style painted wood and gesso mirror circa 1900. 42 inches high, 51 inches wide. It was valued to be worth $800 and $1,200. I have not been able to find out if this even sold, which wouldn't surprise me considering what was going on with the table. You probably just had a lot of people that were like, could buy that anywhere. So I don't know what happened. It's possible it sold, but I couldn't find it anywhere. If you happen to know, please let me know in the comments below. By the way, I know the word gesso sounds kind of fancy schmancy. It's basically Italian for chalk. It's a traditional art material used as a primer or ground for painting, and gesso was applied to surfaces like canvas and wood or other materials in order to create a sort of smooth, absorbent, and slightly textured surface for painting or preparation for gilding frames. We are now going to look at some of Lauren Bacall's collection of works by Robert Graham. Many of you probably already know who Robert Graham was. He was an American sculptor renowned for his figurative bronze sculptures. He was born in Mexico City in 1938, and he was raised around San Jose, California. His work often focused on the human form, and he was known for his ability to capture the details and nuances of the human body. As you can imagine, Robert Graham received numerous awards and honors for his contributions to the field of sculpture. In fact, Lauren Bacall had many bronze sculptures by Robert Graham. I mean, she was fascinated by him. She particularly appreciated the precise realism and bold expression of the female form in Graham sculptures. She affectionately referred to them as her girls. By the way, Robert Graham was married to Lauren Bacall's close friend, Angelica Houston. And Angelica Houston and Robert Graham lived in an incredible house on Venice Beach, and I'm going to go ahead and do a show on that pretty soon. In any event, he passed away at the end of 2008. This is a bronze plaque with green patina created by Robert Graham. It's named Elisa, 1996. For those who don't know, patina refers to the thin layer that forms on the surface of a material over time due to natural weathering and oxidation or use. This is 7.5 inches in height, 7.5 inches in width, and 4 inches in depth. And this work is an artist proof from an edition of 10, plus, the artist proof. It was valued to be worth somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. It sold for $7,500. This is also by Robert Graham. It is a bronze with light gray patina on a brass base, and it's called Gabrielle, circa 1993. This work is from an edition of 25. It was valued to be worth somewhere between $25,000 and $35,000. It sold for $57,500. By the way, there's another one that I'll probably discuss in another show, Gabrielle circa 1998, that was incised on the underside for Betty. That sold for only $11,250. But that one was from an edition of 250. And so clearly the less there are, the more it's worth. This bronze with light brown patina on brass base is called Christine circa 1993. It was created by Robert Graham, of course, and incised on the reverse of the base are the words, "For Lauren." It was valued at somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000. And it sold for $23,750. So once again, somebody out there got a pretty good deal. And this bronze with light brown patina on brass base is called Elisa circa 1994. Obviously created by Robert Graham, it was valued at somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000, and it sold for $47,500. Robert Graham also created these. They were called Untitled Nudes between 1993 and 1995. They were sold as part of a lot of 8 lithographs and 2 etchings on Rives BFK paper. Each were signed in pencil, dated, and numbered. And of course, they came framed, and the lithographs are inscribed, "For Betty." For those of you wondering what in the world Rives BFK paper is, well, it's 100% cotton, soft-sized, and buffered. Rives is perfectly suited for lithography. As a result of using 100% cotton rag and the time-honored manufacturing process, the paper has a very soft and subtle feel. By the way, this unique printmaking paper base is manufactured on a traditional cylinder mold machine at one of the oldest paper makers in France. And so this is good to know. It's not like he went to the local craft store and just put it on some regular paper. They're about 15 inches by 10 inches, and the lot was valued at somewhere between $1,500 and $2,500, and the entire lot sold for $4,375. Are you a fan of illustrations of nude women? Are you a fan of lithographs and etchings by Robert Graham? If so, let me know what you would have paid for this lot of 8 lithographs and 2 etchings on this beautiful paper. Isn't this fun? Alrighty, well, I hope you have been enjoying this show, and if so, please feel free to reply as Lauren Bacall would, with that slang term that she seemed to love so much. And how? At this point, I was hoping to continue by showing you the north side of the foyer and explaining what many of those treasures are, including those really cool cast iron pheasants and those incredible tankards, some of which were made in the 1700s, and that writing cabinet, and that 7-foot tall corner cabinet, and those fantastic framed pictures on the wall, especially the ones with the monkeys. But this show is already twice as long as I was hoping it to be. And if it gets any longer, seriously, a lot of people might not watch it. And so I'm going to tackle the north side of the foyer in part 2 of the series. And then after that, we'll get into the library and the living room and the bedrooms. So what do you think of the cool stuff in Lauren Bacall's foyer? Do you now have a new appreciation for her possessions? And if you were rolling in dough, would you have bought any of that stuff at the auction? If so, which ones? Kindly let me know in the comments below. By the way, I do not know who took some of the photos that I've shown in the show, so if you do, will you kindly let me know so I can respectfully give them the credit they deserve? At this point, I'd like to thank you for joining me to check out the treasures in Lauren Bacall's apartment. This has been part 1. Kindly remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Please check out the links below to learn how to support my research and productions. Specifically, I'd really appreciate it if you could become a member of my channel and or join me on Patreon. Even if you never make any use of Patreon, even if you never make use of the member benefits, think about how great you'll feel to be able to support my research and productions. It's not just a gift for me, it is a gift for you. You could also leave a super thanks in the comments below. Kindly be kind to all non-human animals, and please don't eat them. They don't like that. Remember, for the benefit of compassion, for all living things and their own health, all of the Beatles and other brilliant people throughout history chose a plant-based diet. And please do yourself a favor and go to a local shelter and adopt a cat or a dog. Lauren Bacall would have loved that, by the way. And so do it for Lauren Bacall, do it for yourself, and do it for the cats and dogs that you adopt. They'll be very glad that you did. Until next time, I wish you safe travels on all your journeys.